reasons to praise the Lord part this morning. And I just wanted to take a moment. You may have already had this moment earlier, but I didn't have it.
Right.
I want to thank God for Susie Russian.
Right.
She was a huge blessing to this church. She was a quiet, elegant, dignified, kind, beautiful soul. And she was so quiet that you don't even realize that she's been here 20 years.
Wow.
She actually came here to Living Word when we were at 200 Church Street. And that was before some of you were born. 20 years. She followed us from Church Street to the knitting factory, to the college, and to here. 20 years of faithfulness. Quiet attendance, but always prayerful for this church and the people in it. And about 10 years ago, I asked her if she would head up the birthday card ministry, which had never existed in this church. In the 20 years that you've been here, if you ever got a birthday card, and she would send it to the children, the adults, the seniors, the men, and the women. She would tell me, Pastor Phil, I don't like that look of that card. We need to give the men something nicer, or we need to give the ladies something flowery. And when you opened up your birthday card, you would see a little note. And it generally would say from Living Word Church, or Pastor Benny, or Pastor Flo, but it was always from Susie. And if she gave you a little side note, a little note of encouragement, that was from Susie's heart. She knew each one of you. She knew each one of your birthdays. And she was determined that you would be encouraged on her day. In fact, you would get it early. Because she wanted to make sure that you wouldn't miss your birthday. She was our birthday card ministry. But she was a ministry to this church. And I can't stop thinking of her. I'm going to get to the message, I promise. I have to talk because that's part of my process of healing. I'm sorry. Thank you. And sometimes poems speak through me. They speak to me. So I came across this poem of her that I thought was so apt of what I'm feeling for her and what many of you may be feeling too. And it says, I thought of you with love today, but that is nothing new. I thought about you yesterday and days before that too. And I think of you in silence, and I often speak your name. All I have are memories and a picture in a frame. And your memory is a keepsake, which I'll never part. God has you in his keeping, but I have you in my heart. Susie Russian, 20 years a member here. Loyal, giving, on so many levels. Dignified, elegant, beautiful soul. And I will miss her. It is important, as Pastor said, that we get to know each other. I know a lot of you didn't know some of the details of her life. But we can do better going forward. It is important that we get to know each other more than surface. Because each of you matter. You matter. You're all important. And when you leave, there's a hole. There's a hole in this church, and there's a hole in our heart. Lord God, I thank you for your word, for your church today. A great pastor said, before God blesses you, he will test you. In other words, before he trusts you with success, he's going to allow a stress in your life. And you might say, well, why would he test me with stress before he blesses me with success? And this pastor said he's learned it's because he wants to see if you're ready to handle the blessing that's coming your way. I've been reading the story of Daniel, and I frequently saw him tested by crisis after crisis. But it was also true that after each crisis, Daniel would get promoted. Many times in our lives, we're going to be faced with crises. And usually we think that that's something that brings suffering. But God wants us to look deeper, because God may be getting you ready actually to be promoted.
Amen.
It depends on how you handle the crisis. Because when you get through on the top side of a crisis and you've gone through that thing, and with God's help and you've depended on the Lord, you actually come out stronger, more confident, and more trustworthy, and more trusting in the Lord. If we were to give a title to this series on Daniel, it would be called Unshakable. How to stay steady no matter what life throws at you. And today, we're going to focus on learning some of the things that Daniel did to stay steady when a crisis came. Let's turn to Daniel 2. And we're going to look at a familiar crisis many of us may know, so I'll read it quickly. Daniel 2. In the second year of King Nebuchadnezzar's reign, he had a recurring dream that frightened him so badly he couldn't sleep. So he called in all of his magicians and psychics and fortune tellers and astrologers and demanded that they tell him what he had dreamed. And the king said, I keep having this dream that troubles me. Tell me what I dreamed, then tell me what it means. And the astrologers answered, okay, king, tell us your dream and we'll tell you what it means. But the king said, no way. If you can't tell me what I dreamed, why should I trust your interpretation? And if you can't tell me what I dreamed, you're just a bunch of fakes with no real power or wisdom. Then all of the king's fortune tellers said, nobody anywhere can do what you ask. And no king in history has ever demanded anything like this from any magician, medium, or astrologer. What you're asking us to do is impossible. Well, that made Nebuchadnezzar furious, and he said, I'm dead serious. If you can't tell me what my dream was, I'm going to have you so-called wise men tortured and executed, and then I'll have all your houses demolished into rubble. This is the Message translation for those of you who are looking to see where is all this at. The advisors begged, just tell us your dream, then we'll interpret it. But the king said, no, you are all condemned as worthless. And he issued a decree to execute all of his royal advisors, including Daniel and his 3 friends. But when the king is about to kill you, I say you have a crisis.
Yeah.
But as you read on, you'll see that Daniel shows up and he tells the king, let me have a shot at this, O king. And so he goes off and prays and he talks to God, and God reveals to him the king's dream. And God gives Daniel not only the dream, but the meaning. And he then goes back to the king and tells it to him, and the king honors Daniel, and he and his friends get promoted. that situation. Because what we want to look at today is, what do you do when you're faced with a crisis? A situation that's creating high anxiety and uncertainty and fear inside of you. A situation where you're feeling overwhelmed and it's more than you think you have the time or the talent or the resources or the ability to deal with this thing. What do? I wish I had heard this message a year ago when that was the last time a big giant crisis came in my life. And that was when I was kicked out of that program. I bring it back up to you, even though you always know it, but sometimes you know how the Lord will bring things to you that show you different facets of what you've learned. So I had to look back and I said, when I was in crises, what did I do that made it even worse? And what I did was this first thing that I'm telling you, don't do this. What I did was I panicked. And I'm telling you, don't panic. I grew afraid. Everyone in here has a fear, no matter where you are. It might be a fear that I'm going to be homeless, or a fear that I'm going to be broke, or a fear that I'm going to have to depend on others if this thing happens to me, or a fear of what's all the people who depend on me going to do if something happens to me, or a fear that I don't have a future. Whatever. And that fear comes in and it overwhelms you. And I'm telling you, going forward, when that thing comes that says, I'm going to overwhelm your life, don't panic and don't be afraid. In Daniel's case, he had a legitimate reason to be afraid. The government was getting ready to kill him. But it says in Daniel 2:14, when Arioch, the commander of the king's guard, came to kill them, Daniel handled the situation with wisdom and discretion. Now he's 17 years old at this time. How many 17-year-olds you know have wisdom and discretion? But what happened is that he did not panic. This tells you that he had a relationship with God. He was not afraid. So I'm asking you right now, what's causing anxiety or panic or fear in you? We all got something. When is this thing going to be done with? When is this going to get over with? When am I going to get on the upside of this thing? It could be relational, financial, whatever. Something happening in your body. Whatever you're worried about, your marriage, your future, your dreams, don't panic. Don't panic, but only be still and know that He is God.
Amen.
And He's got your back. See, that's where the fear speaks to you and the panic speaks to you, because it says you're all alone with your resources and you know that ain't going to get you nowhere. So don't panic. Number one, whenever a crisis hits you, don't panic. Only be still and know that God's got your back. The next thing to do is get the facts. Get the facts. Because you want to learn all about the facts of the situation. See, the thing that the devil wants you to do is he wants you to respond to your fear and get all emotional and then blow up all over the place and run around like a chicken with his head off. That's what the devil wants you to do. He wants you to respond to the fear. But I'm telling you, God is saying, learn the facts of the situation. What are the pros and cons of going in this direction or that direction?
Also, try to find out the emotions that are driving the situation. A lot of times you're going to get a call that's going to be filled with a lot of drama, and they're going to want to pull you into that drama. But maybe what's going on is somebody is setting you up to do some dirty work while they sit back and let everybody else all fight each other. But get the facts. King Nebuchadnezzar was furious. He was ready to kill everybody. But the bottom line going on with King Nebuchadnezzar was that he was afraid. He was afraid. He's got this nightmare coming at him, and it's scaring him to death. And so he's spewing out fear and rage on everybody. And when people are panicked and they go into crisis mode, they get really emotional. But I'm telling you, don't let pressure and emotions force you to just immediately go into this direction and react. Get the facts. What's going on? Who's saying this? When is this supposed to happen? Where is it happening? How did it happen? Why did it happen? Get the facts about what's going on because you'll respond to the emotion of the situation and the emotions of the people. They're all fried, you're fried, everybody's fried, and then you're all going to jump into the frying pan. Stop and get the facts. Proverbs 23 in the Living says, get the facts at any price. Don't make a major decision on emotion. It's when you have the facts, that's when you can go to God and say, okay, Lord, here are the facts. The report says this, the doctor says this, the job says that, my spouse says this, the kids' teachers are saying that, or whatever. Now that I know what's going on, here's what I need. I need wisdom. I need guidance on how to handle this situation. I'm not going to respond out of fear, but I'm just letting you know what they are saying. Now I need to hear what you are saying, because that's what's going to get me through. Take time with God. Number 3, spend time with God. Because you know that when a crisis hit, you immediately want to go into mode, function mode, do mode, attack mode, They say you can't. Well, I'll show them that I can. And so you go a million miles in this direction to prove to yourself what you think should be the best thing done. And you neglect that quiet time with God. Impulsiveness is the worst thing you can do in a crisis. Because that's all you thinking of. This is what I think happened. We got to do this. 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 We got to do this, people. Take time and listen to God. It's more important to take the time to make the right decision than to make a fast decision. So you may need to step back from the situation. I remember times when I would have an idea and I'd go to Pastor Benny, and it would so frustrate me with the first words out of his mouth. Let me
Pray about it.
What is there to pray about? It's just so obvious. But he was being godly. He was saying, I have to spend time with God. I can't run on impulsiveness. I don't care how clear it seems to you. It ain't clear until God says it's clear. So Daniel said, there's no way I'm going to know this on my own wisdom. I got to go to God because he created me and he created this king and he knows the beginning and the end of this situation. I got to go go to God. It says in 2:16, Daniel went at once to see the king and requested more time so he could tell the king what the dream meant. He asked for time to pray to God. So don't be afraid. Whatever is pressing in on you and you feel like, oh my God, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta rescue, I gotta save, I gotta deliver, I gotta protect, I gotta whatever. Take the time to say, you know what, I gotta go in deep and be with God. Because this thing is too big. And don't waste a lot of time consulting with a lot of people. Because all you're going to do is get their fear and their fury. They're upset, you're upset. You can hear each other out and then go away. Get away from all of the drama. And just get alone with God and say, God, speak to my heart. Everybody struggles. Our young people, they have school deadlines and they wonder, am I going to find a purpose in life? And our married people, they're struggling to find time with all these competing responsibilities. They've got the older generation in front of them, they've got the younger generation behind them, and everybody's calling for more of you, you know. The seniors need you, your mate needs you, your children need you, and then you need some time to yourself, and you just feel all pulled in all these directions. Some struggles come and crises are coming to the married folks, and the singles are struggling. Will I ever find somebody suitable for my life? And will I find a committed relationship? Will I get my career off the ground, my dreams? And the older seniors, they're struggling. They're seeing symptoms of things happening in their body, and they know they're closer to heaven than they were many years ago or decades ago, and they're trying to find purpose, and sometimes they feel lonely, or sometimes they just feel fearful for the younger generation, and they see them making mistakes, and they want to go in and rescue, but they feel their time is running out, and so they feel pressure. So all of you are going through something. God knows what we're dealing with. And He doesn't want you to run away from it. You can be honest with the Lord and say, Lord, how do I do all this? Guide my footsteps. That's where you need prayer. You need a support team of prayer. If something crazy happens to you right now, you get a phone call, who are you going to call for prayer support? There should be somebody that you can call and say, girl, you better pray for me because this is about to get crazy in here. You need a support team. If you don't have it, you need it. In Daniel 2:17, it says, then Daniel went home and told his three friends, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, what had happened. Then he said, pray that God who rules from heaven will be merciful and explain this mystery so that we and the other advisors won't be put to death. So Daniel wasn't superhuman. He knew what he needed. He said, I need prayer. The steps are right there. So I told you, don't panic. Get the facts. Take time with God. And get a support team of prayer. Something's going on in your body. Something's going on with your kids. Something going on with your grandkids. Something going on with your parents. I just got a call from my mom a week ago. And, she said, the doctor said I have cataracts. And I I was like, God, I have to begin preparing my heart for her future. And I could just be content knowing that she was fine and going about her life, but now she's starting to tell me things that are going to be in common to all of you with your seniors. And I was faced, I know that's not a major thing and it's doable, but it's the beginning. And I have to think, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, what am I going to do? Because I know it's going to land in me. I have 2 older brothers, but it's not going to happen for them. This is going to be on me. And so I have to listen to myself. Don't panic, get the facts, take your time and enlist prayer support. For all of us who are in that generation where the seniors above us are starting to lean towards heaven. It may happen quickly, it may happen over decades, but there are things that are going to happen to our lives that we're going to have to adjust to bring them comfort and bring them support and be available to them. But I can't just figure it all out by myself. I gotta go to God for help. Because I can feel overwhelmed by this. When your parents or your seniors in your family start to go down that road of deterioration, you can get overwhelmed by it. And then there's the grief of knowing the inevitable is going to happen. And it's like, I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for that. So there's a lot of things coming at you. And people have needs at all these levels. And so you need God to help you. You need God to help you. Jeremiah 33:3 says, God says, call to me and I'll answer you and I'll show you marvelous and wondrous things that you could never figure out on your own. And James 1:5-7 says, if you need wisdom, ask God and he will gladly give it to you and he won't resent you asking. But when you ask him, be sure that you expect him to answer, for a doubtful mind is as unsettled as a wave of the sea that is tossed by the wind. What I'm saying is include God in everything. And the young folks with your schooling and trying to find a job and a sense of direction for your life, and you're married, so how am I going to have time for all these people and what I have to take care of here and there, and making my family the first ministry, and then the church ministry, and then my job, and then me, and then I have parents who are getting older. It's just so much pulling at me, Lord. I need wisdom. The last thing, in terms of your own healing, in terms of your own sanity, your own stability, is to spend time worshiping God.
Amen.
Why? I know it's obvious, but you see, you can't worship God and worry. You can't. You are an awesome God. You're singing that, and at the same time, your mind shuts down from all this worry, all this anxiety, all these things coming at you, or the drama that may be playing out or will be playing out, or the needs that are happening with all the generations around you, the parents and the peers and the babies underneath. You have to spend time just loving loving on the Lord and letting Him love you. Because this life is full of troubles and knocks. There are good things here, good people, good times, but there's also the opposite. And part of your restoration is to just shut your mind down with all it's trying to figure out and worry on and be depressed about or anxious about or upset about. Shut your mind down, because you cannot worship and worry. Spend quality time with God. Because God is light, and in Him there is no darkness, so that darkness cannot exist when you're worshiping God. You can't feast on, you can't complain and at the same time praise God. Because bitter and sweet waters do not come out of the same spout. How are we doing on time? We're actually going to end early today. When you go through crises and you come out of it stronger, more determined to love God and acknowledge what God has done in your life in spite of what happened with you. Look what God did. That's a testimony. People try to write your future, but only God can write your future.
Amen.
Honor God. Daniel said in 2:23, after God gave him the victory, I thank and praise you, God of my ancestors. I thank and praise you, for you have given me wisdom and strength. You have told me what I have asked for and revealed to me what the king demanded. Your life is a testimony. Every time you trust God, every time you go through what the enemy throws at you to try to get you down and depressed and despairing, and you come up and you're standing and you're still in love with God. You're still trusting Him. You're still believing Him. You still have faith in Him. The enemy is like, what do I have to do? And you can say, no matter what you do, I will love Him until I am in His presence. And when God helps you, let other people know. Because everybody's struggling with something. But point people to God. How'd you get through that? Oh my God, really? I never thought I'd see you smile again or laugh again or whatever. And they ask you why, you tell them, God did it. God did it. If it had not been for the Lord on my side, where would I be? Amen. Here's how Daniel's history ended in this crisis in verse 46, 246. It says, then King Nebuchadnezzar bowed to the ground before Daniel and worshipped him. And he commanded his people to offer sacrifices and burn sweet incense before him. Then the king said to Daniel, truly your God is the God of gods. Your God is the Lord over kings. He is a revealer of mysteries, for you have been able to reveal this secret. Nebuchadnezzar is giving honor to Daniel's God. And then it ends and says, then the king promoted Daniel to a high position and gave him many valuable gifts and made Daniel ruler over the whole province of Babylon. Look at God.
Won't he do it?
Won't he do it? The worship team can come up. I know Tanisha just stepped away.
Sorry, I did that.
Don't panic. Get the facts. Spend time with God. Worship Him. Because you can't worship and worry at the same time. Let the Lord write your future. And don't get involved in the drama of others. Pull back and spend that time with the Lord and say, Lord, you give me your perspective on this situation. And even though some things will be inevitable and painful in life, God said He would walk with us through every valley, every mountain and every valley. And in the end, the greatest mountain is when we will see Him in heaven. And that's where our seat is. Amen.